Today we're looking at our note guide at Chapter 4 Prerequisite. We're just going to work on simplifying radicals today. We're on page 77 of our note guide. Now, if I had something like 5 squared, this is equal to 25. So the square root of 25 would equal 5. So if I have 7 squared, this equals 49. So the square root of 49 is equal to 7. Now we have several, we have a product property here. If I have the square root of 5 times the square root of 5, this is equal to the square root of 25, which is just equal to 5. We also have the quotient property. If I were to take the square root of 100 divided by the square root of 4, we could do this two ways. I could do the square root of 100 is 10, the square root of 4 is 2, 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5. Another way we could do this is I could take the square root of 100 divided by 4. If I take 100 divided by 4, I get the square root of 25, which equals 5 as well. So both of these would be 5. Okay, now to start off, I have the square root sign. Anyone under the square root is a single person. Okay, they are not married. Then we find a couple, and once we find we're married, we become one. And we come out, and we are no longer in the single house anymore. So what we want to do is we want to think of any two numbers that multiply to 18 on number 1. Now I can do 6 and 3, or I can do 9 and 2. So 6 is 2 times 3. Now I could have also done it as 18 is 9 and 2, and 9 is 3 and 3. But either way, I have these same numbers, 3, 3, and 2. Now we want to find couples. I have a couple of 3's here, and we have a 2 left over. Since these 3's, they are now going to get married, they found true love, and they are going to come out as a 3 in the front, and we leave the square root. Inside the square root is a 2. That 2 is still single. It's all by itself, so it goes inside the square root. The 3 comes out. So this would be simplified to be 3 square root of 2. Now 28, I could think of 7 and 4. 7 times 4 is 28. 7 is a prime number. The only things that multiply to 7 are 7 and 1. So it is done. We've simplified that as far as it can go. We can multiply 2 and 2 to make 4. Now, at the bottom of each tree, we have 7 times 2 times 2. 7 times 2 times 2 would equal the 28. Now we want to find the couples. We want to find the married couples. These 2's, we have 2 2's. They get married. They come out front. They become 1. And we have the leftovers in the single house, which is 7. So this would simplify to be 2 squared of 7. Now, number 3, we have 120. So I know 4 goes into 120. It's one of these numbers up here. So that'll just help us, 4 and 30. But really, you can use any two numbers you can think of to equal 120. So if I break down 4, I have 2 and 2. 30 is 2 and 15. And 15 breaks down to 3 and 5. Now we circle all of the couples. We just have a couple of 2's. That comes out front to be a 2, and then we leave all of the leftovers inside. We have a 2, a 3, and a 5. Those are going to all multiply together to give us our number inside the square root. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 5 gives us 30. So this would simplify down to 2 square roots of 30. Next, we have 300. I know that 300 is divisible by 103. And since I know 100 is 10 times 10, once I find a couple, I can stop. So I could break this down further into 2 and 5 and 2 and 5, but that would just equal 10 anyway. So it's going to give me the same thing. So once I find a couple, I don't have to break it down any further. But I have that 10. I'm going to bring that out front, and I've got the square root of 3. That 3 is my leftover. Looking at 5, I already have a number out front. So that's a married couple already. We want to break down just the single people. We want to see if we have any married couples in our square root of 20. So we have 2 and 10. You can pick any two numbers to multiply to 20. 2 times 10 is 20, and 2 times 5 is 10. I see a married couple, a little couple that we can marry off. We have a 2. They're going to come out front. Now we already have this 2 in the front, so we're going to times the 3 times 2 to give me 6. And then we still have a single 5 left over in the single house. Okay, on number 6, we have a 7 out front. We have inside the root, we're going to break down 6 times 3, and then 6 breaks down to 2 times 3. I see a couple of 3s, so they get married, they become 1, and they come out front with the 7. But we're going to multiply them together. 7 times 3 gives me 21, and then still left in the single house is this 2. Now we're not going to have this 6 anymore in there because it broke down to 2 and 3, so we don't use that anymore. So our answer would be 21 square root of 2. Okay, when I look at 2 square root of 48, the 2 is already married. We don't need to deal with that. It's all done. We're going to break up 48. Think of any two numbers you can think of that multiply to 48. So I know 2 goes into it because it's even. 2 goes into 48 24 times. We can break up 24. 2 goes into 24 12 times. And 3 and 4 and 2 and 2. So we want to find all of the married couples. We've got a set of 2s and a set of 2s. Now we already have a 2 out front, so we're going to take this 2 here, times it by this married couple 2, and times by this married couple 2. That gives us 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Now left under the square root, we have this 3 all by itself there. So we have 8 square root of 3. Now let's just keep this 8. We have 2 square roots. We can multiply those numbers together, but I can also just break them down from here. So 6 breaks down to 3 times 2. 27 is 9 and 3. And 9 breaks down to 3 and 3. So we want to find our married couples. So 3s here and here. If I multiply 3 times 3, I get 9 out front, and I have a 2 left over right here, which stays in the single house. So this breaks down to 9 square root of 2. Okay, so let's break down what we have under our square roots. In number 9, we have 5 times 2 makes 10. And 24, we can do 6 and 4. We can do 8 and 3. Let's just do 6 and 4. 6 breaks down to 2 times 3. 4 breaks down to 2 times 2. Now we find our married couples. We have a married couple of 2s and another married couple of 2s. Now, already married, I have this 5 and I have this 3. 5 times 3 is 15. And then 2 times 2 makes 4. So 15, if I times 5 times 3 times 2 times 2, I get 15 times 4, which is 60. All of those together multiply to 60. Now we want to write our leftovers. Our single people, we have 5 times 3 is 15. So the answer on this one would be 60 square root of 15. Now on number 10, I'm going to multiply my 4 and my 3 together. That gives me a 12. And then inside the square root, I have a 13. 13 doesn't break down anymore, but I have a square root of 13 here and a square root of 13 here. Those, because I have 2 of them, are going to be my married couple. They're going to come out front as 113. Now, if I take and put in my calculator 12 times 13, I end up getting 156. Now, once I get rid of everything underneath the square root, I don't need to write my square root anymore. I just write my number outside the square root, which is 156.